Hey there guys, Silver August here, and we're back for my Moon team in the top 32 of the Alola Champ Battle Festival against a familiar face, Mayleen Rain, who has a pretty interesting team who only has one Pokemon in common with mine, and that is, well, being our starters, Primarina. Now, it was kind of tricky to figure out what Pokemon she might send out first, since on paper you would assume Ledian would be some kind of dual screens, but she goes for Magneton, which sort of makes sense, as I went for Lycanroc, which overall seemed like the safest option, because either way I could do some damage, and going for Brick Break, it did good damage, but evidently, even with a critical hit, I could only assume that the Magneton was carrying an Eviolite, and the Flash Cannon later makes short work of the Lycanroc. So even though he was a Rock Star in the last battle, pun unintended, couldn't do much here, and I send out Queen Grimes to try and finish the job since she can easily take a special attack, I would think, because a Volt Switch lands a critical hit, doing pretty mean damage, but now comes the real Pokemon I was expecting, Ledian. Even though I didn't quite expect to see it at all in this tournament, a knockoff does pretty mean damage, getting rid of Light Clay, kind of exposing that this probably was going to be some kind of wall setup type support Pokemon. But before I could even let it do that, thanks to its speed, I go straight for a Shadow Sneak, getting rid of it before it could even do anything. So, with no screens to worry about, Queen Grimes is allowed to recover a little bit, and in comes Flygon, a menace to my team, because unfortunately I don't have many Pokemon I could safely switch into on this one, meaning Queen Grimes unfortunately has to take the blunt of this. She got the job done in the previous set of battles, i.e. against the Ledian, but couldn't do much here, so I had to basically sack player. And then in comes Frostbite, my Sandslash. I should have seen the switch coming, it was far too easy and the Flygon is way too valuable, but I didn't want to get too greedy at this point in the match, and went for Icicle Crash. And it almost got the kill. Almost. A bit more damage, a higher damage roll might have got the job done, but nevertheless, I still outspeed, and Earthquake will finish it off, thankfully. And Magneton is out, so the score is still fairly even. We're still basically trading blows at this point. And then Salazzle. Normally, this would be instant death for a Sandslash, especially with a Flamethrower at ×4. However, I am carrying a Focus Sash, and I get burned. Ah! The luck is just against me here. But I go for Earthquake, which, well, despite the burn, is still able to bring it down to 1 HP, which it holds on thanks to its own Focus Sash. But burn takes its toll and gets rid of Frostbite, who unfortunately was robbed of any chance to, well, truly show off its strength throughout the entire tournament. And in comes the darling Sprinkles. But Salazzle's still a valuable asset to Mayleen, so she returns it, and sends it, interestingly enough, Lurantis, as Sprinkles goes for a Moonblast, does pretty good damage, bringing it just under half, and unfortunately for the Lurantis, this means it's not going to be doing much. Even with a bit of leftovers recovery, it's still under half in the yellow, and a super effective Bug Buzz is just utter death for it. So I can only assume this was meant to be some kind of sacrifice play, but nevertheless, a Pokemon I really should look into fell pretty easily to Ribbon-Bee. And now we have her Primarina. There really wasn't a safe switch I could do here, so I went for Moonblast hoping for a stat drop, which I do get, thankfully. However, she channels her Z-Power, and we get full activation of Z-Power, leading to quite the show of an interesting move. Oceanic Operita. Now, this is a very elaborate and silly move, which is interesting due to apparently a lot of people actually were having problems uploading this mat, well, not this mat, I mean this Z move, And I don't quite understand why. But the move itself is overkill, and even with the stat drop, unfortunately, it finishes off Sprinkles pretty easily. And now, here is where I misplayed. Ugh. So, my options were really tricky here. My only real options were a Z move or Earthquake. And I went for the Z move. Mayleen made a miraculous switch, a very good prediction on her part, sacrificed playing her Salazzle effectively, because it was either a not very effective Z move, as I go for Malicious Moonsault, or go for Earthquake, which was the only neutral move I would have had on Primarina. I decided to go all out with the Z move, if only to show it off. So I do get to show it off, but it's effectively wasted on Salazzle. A daring sacrifice play that really did work. And at this point, I make the switch because Incineroar could still actually do some damage to the Primarina. It could still get a KO with how much HP she had left on it. However, she probably anticipated the switch and used this as an opportunity to set up a Dragon Dance. Unfortunately, I'm not in a situation where I can set up on my own to endure those incoming water attacks, and number one priority at this point, at best, would be to get rid of the Flygon. Luck evens out on my side as I get the lucky and really grateful stat drop. And now, well, Mayleen decides to go for her stronger stab with an Earthquake, which does decent damage. It's definitely going to leave Pylosand in a position where it's going to die to Primarina easily. And the Flygon is down. Thanks to that stat drop and a higher damage roll, I want to be quite frank and assume. But it comes down to this. Primarina's HP is decent. It's not perfect. And Sparkling Aura, well, we've seen it before. It makes short work of Pylosand even at full HP. And then it comes down to this. A one-on-one showdown between our starters. I don't know if Moonsault would have been enough, but my only option at this point is to go for Earthquake. It's neutral damage, and she just barely holds on. Barely! A higher damage roll might have done it. I am not sure, and to this day I am still not totally sure. But a super effective Sparkling Aura is enough to take out Incineroar, and the match goes to her. I would say that luck was on her side, but quite frankly, luck was being fair on both ends of the spectrum, and overall it was a really fun match. Mayleen was definitely a formidable opponent. With a bit of luck, I might have been able to pull off a win, but at the same time, luck was being evenly dispersed. That was how far my Moon team got, which is a bit of a shame, but hey, it is a tournament that I was hosting and running, and I was meant to use this tournament as a way to pick out people for the Junoon War and other events. So it's okay that other opponents moved on ahead, because that way I can have more options to choose from, and it'd be weird if I had two teams in the top 16. But, speaking of which, I still got a team in the top 16. So how did that fare? Do I advance to the top 8? We'll find out in a little bit. Or should I say, a little later. But for now, guys, this has been Silver August, showing you my Moon team as it progressed through the Alola Champ Battle Festival. It was a lot of fun. It frankly got a lot farther than I expected this team to be, because I always felt it was kind of hodgepodgey and more or less the leftovers of my true favorites. But I had fun. Till next time, guys, catch you all in the top 16 with my Sun team. See you all then, guys.